Welcome everyone, this is Polyf Needles, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO and hear LOTRO players. And this week we have with us Sans Winda.
Hello.
Hello, Sans.
Hi, Pineleaf.
And yeah, let's go and see what's in the news this week. It looks like we had a release of 25.3.2.
Yeah, it was a pretty fast patch.
Well, that's good news because it's annoying if you spend there half an hour there thinking, "Oh, I just wanted to get into the game."
Right?
Yes. And a great deal of them had to do with Gashan Kutot, the Halls of Black Lore, where they say the difficulty of several enemy zones solo mode had been reduced. The health of Gurvan has been reduced on all modes. The potency of coordinated assault and memory of victory solo mode effects have been increased. Nurzum has had its offense abilities buffed. Skorgrim has had its offense abilities reduced. A target cooldown has been added to Skorgrim's Spiteful Words ability. The cooldown of Raz the Cook's Turn Up the Heat ability has been increased. Raz the Cook has its offense abilities reduced, and a discrepancy between solo and duo health of enemies has been corrected.
That sounds handy.
Now, that last one mean that they had more health on the solo than on the duo version?
That is what it sounds like, but I don't know because I hadn't tried it.
I know one person who had done this just before the patch was thinking that he was doing something wrong because he was trashed by Skorgrim.
Oops.
And then he came in after the patch and saw the patch note saying Skorgrim has had his offense abilities reduced. Okay, well, obviously Skorgrim was tuned a little bit high. And in the Houses of Lamentation, Quaking Earth has had its damage reduced slightly, and the detection volume to start the Morloth encounter is now smaller and will not trigger until the approach of Agath Kali and her servants after the Larissa drama. However, this has also caused the smoke barrier to spawn, so groups should make sure that they are inside the arena before starting the drama with Agath Kali.
That's good to note. Otherwise, you might have half your group blocked out, or worse, almost all of
Yeah,
them.
you don't like when that happens. The other thing to note is that okay, this was 25.3.2. They do expect that next week there will be a 25.3.3 for all the stuff needed for the legendary server update for Rohan. So expect another patch next week because they are still planning on having the legendary server open up and head into Rohan. And no, there's not going to be a major overhaul of mounted combat.
That would be interesting. But
Yeah. And the other thing to note is that as I said before, housing is not going to be at the release of Rohan. It'll be probably, well, they haven't said when. It'll be for a future update, I guess, is what they're saying. And they are numbering this 25.3.3, and I believe Shelob is supposed to be 25.4 when that comes in. That may be hitting forward in a week or two. Then we could hear about the joys of people attempting to fight against Shelob.
oh boy,
I know. You can't wait, right?
I need a lot of people to go get vengeance.
I know I'll be able to go get vengeance. Yes. Yes, that is our latest update to the theme. Now, the LOTRO Beacon, issue number 143. Quarentus is wondering if you will attempt to kill Shelob.
I don't know. Maybe? I kind of want to.
Tip number 1 for fighting Shelob. Find Samwise Gamgee.
And hope he has a file of Galadriel.
And hope he has a file of Galadriel in one hand and Sting in the other.
That would be ideal, yeah.
Well, even Sam will need a bit of an assist because if we wouldn't need to fight Shelob if Sam were able to completely solo her completely. Yes.
True.
Because we want her dead and not running away again.
Yeah,
Then,
we need dead.
yeah, we went dead, permanently dead. We'll never hear from her again dead.
And hopefully none of her offspring either. I like this plan.
Let's then head into the LOTRO Beacon issue 147, where it looks like we have some people fighting some Nazgul.
It's a nice, colorful fight, too.
Oh, Guarinda suggests that we nuke her from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
Sounds good.
Now, it does have this little problem where if you nuked her, it will probably destroy Minas Ethel at the same time.
I mean, we could just nuke the planet, but that doesn't seem very good either. I guess maybe we'll have to go fight her the old-fashioned way.
Yes. I mean, I have a feeling that there'll be some people that says that's probably the best thing to do with Minas Morgul is to nuke it from orbit, but that's another matter.
Fair.
Let's head into the community spotlight where Songs from Another Age hits the stage on Sunday, which is tomorrow from the point of recording. So if you're listening live, you'll be able to. Granted, it's concerning nuking Minas Morgul says, and that's a problem. Why?
I think you should take that up with Galadriel and Celeborn, actually, after my time spent there. They seem to be the ones who have an issue with it.
Yes, Galadriel does take exception to doing things like blowing up Minas Mythil/Morgul because she went through a great deal of trouble to help restore it after the first time it was taken, and also making it beautiful with the glowing and all that stuff. So, yes, I think she'll be reluctant to let people go around blowing it up.
Which makes sense. You don't want to just blow up your handiwork.
Now, Sam Burke suggests that Sans can fire an arrow as high up as possible and hope for a similar effect when the arrow comes down again.
Now that's a good idea. I might have to try that.
LOTRO Vids has remastered the original Shadows of Angmar cinematic in 4K resolution at 60 frames per second. Okay. And Foreign Drill gets Psychedelic on Sundays in front of the Prancing Pony. You could check out and learn about this weekly solo performance. And you could join the Dwarf Folk of Durin's Faust, of the Just In, and the Elves of Iflurim Gwath for a Master Ball on Belegier on February 15th. Find it starting at 2 p.m. Eastern in the camp of the Buried Treasure in Ered Luin. Also in Belegier, the Elben Sib Randir Va'arda is inviting players interested in the Elven role play to join them. You can click there for more information about that German language group. Now for the player spotlight. This week, a friend of a Crick Hollow player sent this in about their great kinship leader. I would like to place a spotlight on Azel in Crick Hollow. Amazing kin leader. He is the kind of guy everyone likes. He's always helpful and never condescending. He helps all levels and skills of players. He has an amazing knowledge of the game. His in-combat leadership ability is top-notch. He can figure out difficult situations on the fly. What's even more, he's a great person. LOTRO and World would do well with having more of him. He is the kin leader of Knight Riders. Congrats, Ozzel. So here's our weekly comment. What advice do you have for Aragorn?
Give me flamethrowers so I can burn up all the spiders, please.
That's more of a request than an
It's
advice.
kind of a request, but I strongly advise Aragorn to burn them out with flamethrowers. Does that work better?
All right. So your advice to him is to clean up Kirit Ungol with flamethrowers.
Yeah, and maybe Aaron Lasglin too. And definitely Southern Mirkwood.
Well, Aragorn, I will say, has no authority about burning things down at Aaron Lasglin. It's outside of his realm.
He could authorize a bunch of people to carry flamethrowers and seek spiders.
I have a feeling that the King of the Elves will object to that.
Probably pretty strongly, actually.
I was thinking that Terry Adams' advice is, don't marry that elf.
Maybe.
Keep an eye on the hobbits, Aragorn.
Don't keep sending us to chase spiders. Except he wasn't the one who just sent us this last time.
Oh, Mary Rose suggests that they make you the captain in charge of getting rid of those spiders, and that way you can send other people to do it.
Yes, like that one guy who's like, hey, there's spiders up there, but I'm not going anywhere, and wouldn't trade places with me? Yes. I could be that guy.
Oh,
no,
boy.
I don't have any serious advice for Aragorn. I think he's going to do a great job.
Yeah, it's like saying, what kind of advice can we have? Because we've got... let's see. How about... wait, I'm trying to remember their name again. The Eastern Elves, what were the Eastern Elves called again? Wait, after hearing their name so often recently, you would think I'd remember it.
I'm not sure what you're looking for.
The Eastern Elves, the ones that... I mean, not the dwarves, the Eastern dwarves, I mean.
The Eastern dwarves. The
Yeah.
Zelruka?
No wonder you didn't understand.
Or the Stouthexes?
The Jaruka, that's it. How about Aragorn to learn ancient Jaruka script so that he could read the Black Book of Mordor?
Ooh, that's a good advice.
Right.
I also advise him to have all the rangers sign up for correspondence courses in the Black Speech. Just in case they ever need to read secret messages.
Hey, how about promoting the scholar that we gave the Black? Yes. Let's end the fan site news. And last week, we made predictions and talked about our weeks. And we made predictions. What, you mean you actually listened to the episodes since I knew that we made predictions there because that wasn't referenced in our title?
I might have said it in the blurb. I don't remember for sure.
Okay, well, that's a possibility, yes.
But it might have also been listened to.
Yes, and LOTRO Stream is a great place to start finding streamers in LOTRO on Twitch. This week we have Flights of Fancy with Wayward Plane, dive deep into lore with the Tolkien Professor, and get a French perspective with a French Girl Gaming. Also on Twitch, Safnir begins a journey, a Geek Bite talks through a walkthrough, and Eternal War 327 levels on Langeable. And over at YouTube, Upscaled Man makes a Hobbit, and Kaizo TV starts fresh, and Thor TV heads into Rohan. Guarinda says, poor Condads, no chance to take advantage of the Black Speech Independent Studies program.
I know, and he could have used it too, like a while ago.
Yes. Also on Twitch, Safnir begins a journey. Geekbite walks through a walkthrough Eternal for 300 levels on Langeable. Oh yes, I already. See, that got me distracted.
Oops, distracted pine leaf.
Let's head into the screenshot of the week, where Mike sent a screenshot of questing with a friend. Thanks for sending it. If you'd like to send a screenshot, you can email it to contact@standingstonegames.com.
That's a cool screenshot.
And what else do we have? That's it for our LOTRO Beacon, but I believe we have some sales. What's on sale this week?
Well, this week, LOTRO Bonus Days brings you Hobnanigans, now through February 9th. So,
I'm sure we're all excited.
well, I mean, if you want to go play Hobnanigans, now's your chance. If you just want to map to the Bree stable grounds so that you can take the stable horse to Bree, now's your chance. So, and if you've got it filtered out, then you don't need to worry about it. Also, you can now be virtuous like Samwise. You get 20% off virtue boosts, trait slots, skill and slayer deed boosts through February 13th. And the weekly coupon code gets you a free die. A free purple die. With the coupon code PURPS. Now through February 13th.
Now, I would say that what they need to also add to this is some sort of thing that grants you a bonus for killing spiders for the Samwise ones.
That would be really cool. Like extra damage against spiders, or like extra credit for every spider slain towards a deed. Yeah. Either would be really cool.
And they could link it to virtues by having it on the deed ones, since you will be able to get virtues from completing the deeds. Now let's head to the site news, where we have another issue of Where in Middle-earth is Emeraldina? Where the previous post was at Faramir's Lookout in South Ithilien in eastern Gondor, and this week Emeraldina is taking a little swim.
She said it was quite relaxing.
Quite relaxing. Okay.
And springy.
And springy.
Like springy the season, not like a trampoline.
Oh, I was wondering whether you meant spring the season or this was a river source.
I'm not sure. I didn't think of that possibility.
Yes.
But now that you mention it, there is... I'm going to have to go talk to her after this.
Yeah. I was thinking it was that she was at some sort of spring, and that was a little bit of a hint on that matter.
That's possible. She might have had layers in what she told me.
Yeah, that's always a possibility.
True.
Let's head into a new player question. What's our question this week?
So, I was running around Bree, and somebody flew past me, running on their own 2 feet. How can I run faster?
Play a warden? Seriously, though, there are several ways to run faster. First off, some classes have a speed boost. Wardens have one that they can activate where they run very, very fast, but when they go into combat, most speed boosts turn off in combat. The thing about the Warden one is that you have to reactivate it every time you get out of combat.
So that actually works out well, I learned recently, because that means that you can use the combat run speed boost if you can find it, because your toggle won't be blocking it. But continue.
Oh, are you saying then that in a Hunter one, they cannot use it when they're using Leafy Feet?
On a Hunter one, if you have Leafy Feet toggled, you cannot use the combat run speed boost. It'll tell you there's an active effect preventing this, even though you don't run faster in combat with Leafy's feet toggle on.
Well, that's rude.
Yep. Not that I had any reason to learn that this week.
And, of course, there is also the Bjornings have their mode where in bear form they can run faster. So that won't be 2 feet, that'll be their own 4 feet.
Sprinting as a bear.
Yes. And there are a couple of character classes that I think have combat-related speed boosts, such as, well, the Warden after ambushing gets a speed boost. The champions have a very short speed boost, that sprint, I think it's called, or something like that, where it lasts a few seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have, do Guardians have a
Guardians can sprint. I don't know if it's called sprint, but they can run really fast for a short amount of time.
Yeah.
So I've been running at 30% speed on my Hunter, only to have a Warden come out of nowhere, or not a Warden, a Guardian come out of nowhere, sprinting past me, and then you catch up to them again later.
Yes. Well, that's the thing, is that Hunters are faster in the long term.
The Warden you just never catch back up to.
Right. Then you have High Elves who have a racial bonus to speed. Whether that's 10% or 5% or
10%. Does that stack with like Leafy Feet or the Warden Feet or the? Well, I guess High Elves can't be bears, so that doesn't matter. Does it stack with the other speed buffs that you can get for your class?
I would have to look that up. Yeah, I forgot whether that actually happens or not because I don't.
I mean, it would be pretty cool if it did.
Play too many High Elves.
Then you could be a really fast Hunter.
And Sam Burke likes to spam the captain run. Oh, that's right, because the captain also has the.
Yeah, and the captain one will actually affect any fellowship members nearby.
Well, yes, because that's the entire point of a captain is.
They make everyone run faster for a short amount of time.
Yeah. You there say, charge! Into the breach, yes.
The bears can trait to have theirs make everyone run faster for a short amount of time, too. Their burst, not their wanderlust.
Okay.
Because they have a burst sprint skill as well.
So that means a large number of classes have some sort of speed buff. Then, of course, I remember was it yesterday we were talking with Terry Edwin, and she was talking about how, of course, then you have the burglars because of stealth, speed slowdown, and that the optimized blue line just reach regular speed.
Right,
While
poor
stealth.
burglars. So burglars could use, the 10% run speed boost that drops out of Hobbit Presence. Is there anything else that can help classes like burglars go fast?
You do have a couple of items that do it. One of them is, of course, the 10% run speed one. And then the other one is, of course, the item that we most make fun of, and that is the combat bonus in Hobbit Presence.
Okay, and you could drink coffee too, right? But then you can't have something else active, probably.
Right, and yeah, then you have
Does that take
coffee.
Is
which,
it a
depending
trail
on the
food?
coffee, it's either 5 or 10.
Okay. Does coffee count as a trail food, or is it its own thing?
It has it has the same cooldown as the trail food, but it it can be used at the same time. So in other words, you can have both the trail food and coffee.
Well, that's pretty
It's just
cool.
that they just share cooldowns
The
though.
share
So
cooldown. So you might have to stagger when you put it up and hope that it's gonna work.
yeah, because the cooldowns I think is one or two is about a minute or two, I think is the cooldown on those things.
Okay.
And I think that covers all the ones I could come up. But you can see there are quite a number of them. There are probably one or two that we missed somehow in that whole thing. But
Yeah, and hunters have a couple things that can trigger them. Some of them have a chance and some of them don't, but they'll make them a little bit
right.
faster. So if your hunter's ever like outpacing you and you're in the same group and you should have the same speed because of leafy feet, that's probably why.
Now, of course, this is also ignoring other ways of getting fast that involve more than 2 feet.
Like war steeds?
Well, I was going to start with horses, then war steeds, but yes, you
Oh.
have regular horses, which could be which with well-bred trade could go even faster, and of course, journeyman riding trait and all that fun stuff. So
The
you
journeyman riding
do
trait is
have
awesome.
horses that can
Awesome.
make you go right. Yes, journeyman riding trait, making all your horses go with the 70 plus 78% instead of the plus was it 60 for
I think it's
horses and
usually
usually
60. Yeah.
yeah, somewhere around 6. So you go a bit faster when you are on the journeyman riding trait, which is real nice, especially when you have it on all your characters. So as soon as you get out of the entry,
You can start riding fast.
yeah, you can read a couple of pages and then suddenly you're able to ride very quickly. And of course, war steeds, as you call them, or as Terry Edmund calls them, suicide horses.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure it's possible to ride them responsibly, so she has a point.
Well, responsible war steed riding usually is knowing when to go at full gallop and when to go down to a canter or a trot.
Wait, you mean they have speeds other than stopped and full gallop? What? I actually can kind of get them to slow down sometimes now, but without like bouncing off of cliff faces and fences and trees. But I usually don't bother because if I'm on it, I probably wanted to go fast.
Well, if I'm doing something crazy like going up that switchback in Dunharrow,
Hey, that's fun at a full gallop, Pine. You should try it sometime.
what?
It is. You have to be really careful, like, to stay to the cliff face and not, like, veer out. But if you have been up the path a few times, you can totally do it. It's one of the safer switchback paths to take with a suicide horse.
Yeah. Well, seeing how today I was going up the switchback at though I was on a suicide.
Wait, which switchback were you going on?
The one at the entrance to Imladra.
The entrance to.
Imladra.
Oh, okay.
All right. Let's send to our weekend LOTRO. Since when? What were you?
So this week, Sanzunda and Gwerndas formed a small fellowship in the Beacon Hills and terrorized the landscape. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, those guys didn't even know who was coming. And Sans finished a few deeds there, so she's now a heroine of the Beacon Hills. And she discovered that when she first went through there, she got the title The Cautious, which we got a good laugh out of. So, yeah, when last I saw her, she was sporting that title. And my minstrel, Amalora, was running around with Maven and Natesh, and we cleaned house in the first tier of Minas Morgul. And Amalora ran the Pelennor instances with the field trip this week, so that was pretty fun. We ran them at level 75. And we managed to not completely wipe the group on Silent Street. Though we did almost wipe
Yay!
the group.
You almost
We
did.
did not lose our hunter Guarindas, so we were pretty successful. She was 110 and we kept her alive, so I mean, granted, we were running it at level 75, so it shouldn't have been that hard to keep all of us alive, but my minstrel needs new gear. And I had a nightmare moment this week, Pine.
Uh-oh.
So, I mean, it was the stuff of nightmares anyway, because there were spiders and bones and webs and all this stuff. But then I got trapped, and I couldn't figure out how to get out. I didn't know what I had done the time before when Amalora was in a similar situation, and I was trying moving right and left and forward and back and clicking anything on the screen that I could see, but the zoom on my camera was kind of skewed because I was trying to not look at the spider, and I got eaten by Shelob.
What?
Yeah, she just sauntered over and snacked on my hobbit, and it was horrible. It was a definite nightmare moment. I had to start the whole instance over again. And, fortunately, you and Terry knew that you have to actually click on the webs immediately so that you can start struggling, and that it's clicking on the webs that matters, not, trying to move. So, thank you. I survived the second time. But, yeah, that was definitely not a highlight, but, yeah, that happened this week. So, yeah, anyone who wants to take vengeance on Shelob, feel free to, have a For the Hobbits battle cry or something, because...
For Sanswinda!
Sanswinda needs to be avenged multiple times over. Shelob needs to be dead. But yeah, that was my week. How was your week, Pine?
I'll begin with my honor warden, who finally finished the horsing around deed, which is completing 60 of those quests relating to Hengstacer Farm.
There's 60 quests relating to Hengstacer's Farm?
Yes, those are dailies. There are two available every day, and they involve this special steed. This was something that
the pre-order thing.
On the pre-order to Riders of Rohan.
Okay.
And they unlocked that on Honor, of course, a month before they opened up the area.
Makes sense.
So, yes, I was doing all of those quests in there. Fetching water for horses, fetching hay for horses, fetching oats for horses, fetching horseshoes for horses, and then taking on horse play. In other words, taking on horse form and doing horse session plays, going all over the place, kicking Kargul and Kraban and orcs. Then my Crick Hollow Warden finished the epilogue to the Black Book of Mordor, where I decided to give a book to a certain scholar who I am going to Aragorn to promote. And my burglar started the quest to find a legendary axe that nobody ever heard.
Nobody ever heard of it?
Well, yes, because right now I still have people going all over the place saying it doesn't exist. This is a wild goose chase. You know how that. So we'll have how that goes along. Of course, we all know. If you've been through Moria, you probably know by now what that's all about. We currently have 14 supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to join this illustrious parade of players and help support LOTRO players, simply go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you'll find rewards, including a mention on the podcast your choice, or EMB gets with us for an episode of LOTRO Players News. And we did not receive any emails this week, but if you'd like to send us one, you can send it to podcast@LOTROplayers.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at Players Alliance @PlayersAlly, LOTRO Players @LOTROPlayers, Arendis @Arendis, Pineleaf @PineleafNeedles, Sandwinda @Sandwinda, Terry Adwin @Terry Adwin. The Players Alliance has two shows on Mondays at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. We have DDO Players News, and on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have LOTRO Players News. You can join us for our shows at LOTROPlayers.com/live. And that's all for tonight. This is Spotty Beetles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.